Hi girls, today I have missed the class, so I'm taking that theorem that is continuous function on compact metric space. This is left out actually. So continuous function on compact metric space. So we are going to see the theorem. Let f be a continuous function from the compact metric space M into the metric space M2. Then the range f of M1 of f is also compact. So they have given the f as a continuous function from the compact metric space M1 to the metric space M2. So M1 and M2 both are compact metric spaces, and f is a mapping from M1 to M2. We have to show that, we have to prove that the range f of M1 of f is also compact. So if you are taking the domain and codomain, so the range will be lies between the f of M1, that is codomain of f is also compact. That only we have to prove. So let us take G be the any open covering of the f of M1. For each G belongs to the open covering G. Then the set f inverse of G is also open subset of M1, because if it is a open covering, then we can say that the inverse image of the open covering is also a open subset of M1. So we know that f is continuous if and only if the inverse image of the every open set is open. This you have learnt in the lower classes. So f is continuous means if and only if the inverse image of the open set is open. Therefore, the family of all such sets f inverse of G belongs to G is therefore an open covering of M1. Since we have it was given in the question that M1 is compact, then it has a finite number of sets, say f inverse of G, f minus 2 inverse of G, and so on up to f inverse of Gn. G1, G2 up to Gn also form a covering of M1. So, but G1, G2, Gn form a covering of f of M1. But what will happen? G1, G2, that set should be the form a covering of the inverse image, that is f of M1. Thus, there are a finite number of sets in G which form a covering of f of M1. Therefore, f of M1 is compact. So, we have taken M1 as a compact, and we have shown that f of M1 is also a compact. So, if M1 has a finite covering, open covering, then obviously the inverse image is also a open covering. That only we have to prove. Next definition, let f be a function from a set A into a metric space M. The function f is bounded if it is range f of A is a bounded subset of M. So f is a function, then from a set A into a metric space M, the function is meant f is said to be a bounded means if it range f of A is also a bounded subset of M. So its corollary also they have given, and then using this we can see the theorem 39. If the real valued function f is a continuous on the compact metric space M, then f attains a maximum value at some point of M. Also f attains a minimum value at some point of M. Okay, so the real valued function f is a continuous on the compact metric. This is a given thing. So if it is a real valued function continuous on a closed bounded interval in R dash, so f must be always bounded only. Closed bounded interval means it is a compact only, so f must be bounded. This is a function f must be bounded. So bounded means definition is LUB of f of x. L can be taken as LUB of f of x. Lower least upper bound we are taking. The number L must be a limit point of f of m. Therefore f of m is compact by the previous theorem. Let A be the subset of the metric space. Then the A comma is a compact. This also we got seen in the last class theorem. Then A is a closed subset of the metric space M comma rho. Yeah, so f of m is a closed subset of R dash. Thus the number of L must be lies in f of m. Therefore we have taken the LUB of f of x should be lies in f of m. That is L equal to f of a for some point A belongs to m. So it is clear that f attains a maximum at a point A. Now we have to show that the minimum, at least f attains a maximum point or minimum value of some point in A we got seen. Okay, so only one thing, first part is we have proved. Next one is continue of the inverse function, that is consider f from Rd to R dash is defined by f of x to x, where x lies between minus infinity to infinity. Then f maps every real number onto itself. So the domain of f, the range of f have the absolute value metric. So f is obviously 1 to 1. Then f is continuous means every function on Rd is also continuous. So f inverse is not continuous means f inverse where continuous in f would be a homomorphism of Rd onto R dash. That is just like a corollary continuity of the inverse function. So just go through it. And the last theorem, if f is a 1-1 continuous function from the compact metric space M1 onto a metric space M2, then f inverse is continuous on M2 and f is a homomorphism of M1 onto M2. So let us take the two matrix spaces M1 and M2, then F is a function from M1 M2, then F is continuous on M1. This is all the given condition. If and only if F inverse of F is a closed subset of M1, whenever F is a closed subset of M2 also. Now we have to show that F inverse is continuous on M2. Okay, so we have to show that if F is any closed subset of M, then the inverse image of F under F inverse is closed in M2. So here inverse image of the closed set is also closed, we know that. So by the inverse image of the F under F inverse is precisely F of F. Now we have to show that if F is closed in M1, then F inverse of F of F is also closed in M2. So F is closed in M1 means F itself a compact, because we know that compact is also a closed. So F of F is also compact, so that is therefore it is closed in M2. So hence proved the theorem. Next note, one note they have given, you just go through the note. Okay, so unit 2 completed. So this is the thing which I have left it today. So I just add on to the unit 2. Okay.